Surprise, surprise, surprise. No, it is not the weekend. I decided to upload this video in the middle of the week because it means a lot to me that a lot of folks viewing may get something out of this video before the weekend. And what's it about? It's about a bare bones strategy that definitely works. And since it's like Wednesday when I'm uploading this, you may be viewing it a different day, but I'm uploading this on a Wednesday, giving people ample time to let this sink through. There are some techniques and strategies that, in my honest opinion, have helped people. I could tell you for a fact that has helped me because I'm a bit of a bean counter. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jan. I love to help people save money and more. So yes, there are a couple of videos that already appeared for today, but that's okay. This one I really wanted to show up for today. Hope you don't mind. Might want to take with you a cup of tea to sit back or coffee or whatever. I'm going to pull up a video file, and sometimes I just can't let it start from the beginning. So I have a little difficulty sometimes. So you might hear it run in like in the middle of a sentence. But basically, I'm introducing my thought. Hang on 1 second and let's go. Month towards the end, let's just assume that some people do their grocery shopping, their main hauls at the beginning of the month. Well, I thought I'd talk about today a couple of kind of sort of logical tips that have worked, at least for me. Because, well, part of me is a bean counter. What am I talking about? I'm talking about tips for saving money at the grocery store that have really, really helped. So let's hang on. The show might run a few minutes longer than usual. I hope you don't mind. But I believe that some of these tips are really, really important. Okay, so let's talk about bare bones shopping strategy. Okay, when I say bare bones shopping strategy, I really mean it. And it includes being a bit of a bean counter. I have mentioned the idea of being a bean counter type of a person in many prior videos. Keep in mind, I did create over 2,200 videos. Did I really? Yes, I really, really did. Just saying, just saying. But let's go on with this. Hang on. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm using my trusty notebook. Okay, because I don't want to miss a beat. Normally I ad-lib a lot, but this time around I wanted it to be precisely the way I want the message to get across, because that's really important. Now, tip number one, it sounds really crazy, but it's really not. Count how much bread your family uses per month. Everybody's family is different. Some people live with a family of one. Some people live with a family of two. Some people live with a family of four. All right. So let's just use this as an example. So fill your home with bread for the month. Of course, you're going to freeze up. You use one bread that you're using for the whole week and then freeze up the remainder so it keeps really, really well throughout the month. I did a calculation for myself. And I personally recognize that for myself, that I like to have about one slice of bread per meal, usually 3 slices of bread per day. Now, that could mean, for example, that I'll wake up and just want one piece of toast, all right? And I'm good. And then lunchtime comes and I may want a sandwich. And just for the record, a person can make a sandwich with one piece of bread. Okay, so if you're watching your carbs, if you're watching how much money you're spending a week on bread, it all adds up. And since we're spending about $25 extra for the same stuff as opposed to a few years back, there are ways and there are ways. That's why I felt that this video is really important. I might decide to make a half a sandwich at lunch, for example, and reserve another piece to go along with my dinner. You see where I'm going with this. I try to conserve even for myself. I'm like very observant about things like that. But I figured something out. Okay, for a family of four people, that means if the average family of 4 has about 12 slices of bread per day based on the 3 slice thing, I did the math, and that means a whole lot of bread. No. Okay, basically, that is the truth. That sounds like a whole lot of bread. And we can become innovators when it comes to bread. We don't only have to rely on the slices of bread that we purchase at the grocery store. We can consider like using rice or something else in place, or potato or pasta in place of that bread, if you will, because they are bread like products. It's a great way to stretch. The best thing to do is calculate for your own specific family and its needs. Okay. So, honestly, all joking aside, let's say that that's 12 slices a day times 7 days a week. Okay. So, compare the type of bread you get, the amount, it's all individual, the amount that you use, and do the math and keep within it. Why am I so insistent about the bread? Bread fills up hungry bellies. That's for one. Okay. You're not going to run out because you don't want to be in a position of hunger. Okay. Now, do you have to always buy the bread yourself? No, of course not. You can make it yourself too, obviously. All right. Next, eggs. You're going to use the same method with eggs. Now, all right, prices of eggs goes up. It's come down. In some areas, not 100% coming down. Trust me, I know that myself. Yeah, I just want to reaffirm, trust me, I know that myself. There are some places where the price of eggs came down a little bit, not this drastic amount, where thankfully, and I'm so happy for the folks that it has come down a lot. You know, it all depends. It all depends. But it has changed my habit, as you can see here. So I've gotten used to having one egg per meal that I have it. So maybe in the past I would have two eggs per meal, but for myself that has drastically changed. So I got into the habit of one egg per meal that I would eat an egg. It doesn't have to be breakfast time because people eat breakfast for any meal. Again, sit down, calculate how much ahead of time would you be using for your family. All right. So typically for a family of four, this equivocates into about 124 eggs a month, which sounds like incredible, but that's about 6 boxes of 18 count eggs. Okay. Now, that's not to say that you're going to eat eggs every day. Some people do, some people don't. But isn't it better to be a little bit ahead of the game? Sit down, calculate, get the best prices. Meat. Let's talk about meat. Absolutely stock. Okay, before we get into the meat, it is essential to be a bit of a bean counter. It's not that much work. It's just taking a minute. It's knowing what your family goes for. It's knowing how much you eat. Again, we are the CEOs of our kitchens. We are the CEOs of our budgets. We are the CEOs of our grocery budget, our food budget. When I say groceries, that means everything, but mainly food, okay? But there are other things, obviously, that are groceries, like, paper goods, things of that nature. But we have to know. You can't know what you don't know. The best way to know is to start keeping track. It's very helpful. The information is so helpful. You'll see. On poultry, turkey, or chicken parts. If you could get the best deal rather, by buying a whole chicken or a whole roast. You see where I'm going with that? Again, best prices. Cut up, freeze, save. Plan ahead, count. Being a bean counter is a good thing. We all know how many days of the upcoming months there are. See what works best for you and your family, and try to reserve to have a little bit extra. Always reserve a little bit extra. That's where the stockpiling habit comes in very, very handy. Okay, I'll be right here. I just want to say this before I go on with this. Getting into the habit of always taking a little bit away and reserving it and preserving it in the freezer, for example, I'm huge on that, especially when it's at the more abundant time of the month for many people, if you will. Reserve and preserve. You'll be blessed at the end of the month. I promise you, with extra. Extra is a good thing. Am I right or am I right? Just saying. Oh, as far as ground beef goes, you get, if you like it, you get it and you cook it, make the crumbles, freeze it, and all that. But if you have never tried ground turkey, give it a consideration. At least once. Buy one pack, try it, see if your family likes it. For folks that like beans, beans are great. For people that like it, it's a great protein, especially when you team it up with rice. It's a complete protein. You know what to do with beans. And if you don't know, there are lots of recipes online. Um, Rice. Make a batch of rice in the beginning of the week. Plan to use it up. That way you don't have to keep doing it over and over. You could do stir fries. You could do custards, rice puddings, things of that nature. Rice with a little bit of milk, cinnamon, and sugar as a breakfast. It's a nice alternative to boxed cereal. Think about that. Next, instead of paying for canned soup or gravies, learn how to make them from scratch for a fraction of the cost. That's a good one. Even I'm going to work on that one. Definitely next, keep flour, sugar, yeast, baking soda, and baking powders to whip up common baking things like biscuits, rolls. Even if you are afraid to make bread, for example, start small with homemade biscuits or rolls, okay? I mean, to me, the thought of making a loaf of bread, quite honestly, I'm just saying for myself, terrifies me. But making some biscuits, and not just the one you pop open, but doing homemade biscuits, even I can handle that. I'm just saying. But it is a great bread alternative. It's like when you realize, wait a minute, I'm either low or finished with bread. Sometimes the math didn't work out for whatever the reason, or you just weren't prepared. But to have those items on hand, those types of ingredients on hand to put together something like that is life-changing for some people. And I really, really mean that. It's still bread. You could always freeze it up. You could always keep it. As far as the rice goes, get low-cost vegetables, whatever's on sale that you can stir-fry, like root vegetables type thing. Make a bunch of stir-fry meals because the meat is not the star of the show. The star of the show are the vegetables, but you couldn't be filling up a lot of people. Next, for fun, I like to make my 50 miniature meatballs. Love to make that. I throw them in like my own baked ziti. It feeds an army. I'm telling you. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And bake a cake from scratch. I'm going to talk more about all these things in a minute. Take good care. Okay. All right. Let me get myself here on a solo layout. Hang on. I know these tips are helpful. I've done these things. Okay. Let's talk about the cake thing for a minute. If you have all the components to bake a cake from scratch, it's really not scary. It's not horrible. I used to watch my mom do scratch cakes all the time. And what she used to do whenever she made an icing, she used to use fresh orange rind or just use vanilla extract, powdered sugar, and a little bit of milk. I mean, so inexpensive. Put it together. So natural tasting. You can do it with lemon rind or orange or the vanilla. She made very inexpensive, delicious cakes. I'm telling you, I wish I had a slice of that cake right now. But if you prefer working with box cake mix, beginning of the month, scour around to see what box cake mixes are on sale. But I'll tell you this, to have the ingredients to be able to put together anything at any time of the month is a wonderful thing. Okay. And especially like in the breakfast arena, say you ran out of eggs and don't feel like buying an extra dozen or 18 eggs for your family because maybe the price is just not great. Put together with those components that you already purchased a type of pancake complete mixture of which all you add is water. Doesn't need eggs. There are ways and there are ways. This is why I felt it really extremely important today to come on here, not just waiting for Sunday. I just felt since the month itself is winding down, I just thought to give everyone a head start to consider such thoughts for shopping. I really hope this helps at least one person, because if so, then I know I did my job. But we all need to do what this lady does. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That way we can help more people. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Take good care now. Bye-bye.